Welcome. Today, we're diving into the topic of unlawful detainer, a legal term that often comes up in landlord-tenant disputes. If you've ever wondered what happens when a tenant refuses to leave a property after their right to stay has ended, this video is for you. We'll break down what an unlawful detainer is, why it matters, and how the process typically unfolds. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of the basics, whether you're a landlord, tenant, or just curious about property law. Let's start by defining the term and exploring its significance in real estate and rental agreements. An unlawful detainer refers to a situation where a tenant remains in possession of a rental property without the legal right to do so. This typically happens after a lease has expired or been terminated, and the tenant refuses to vacate the premises. The landlord, in this case, cannot simply force the tenant out, but must follow a legal process to regain possession. This process is known as an unlawful detainer action, which is a specific type of lawsuit filed in court. Understanding this definition is crucial for both landlords and tenants, as it sets the stage for the legal proceedings that may follow. There are several legal grounds that can lead to an unlawful detainer action. Common reasons include non-payment of rent, violation of lease terms, or staying beyond the lease, period. Sometimes, tenants may also be asked to leave for reasons such as property damage or illegal activities on the premises. However, regardless of the reason, landlords must provide proper notice and follow the legal steps required by local laws. This ensures that the tenant's rights are protected and that the eviction process is fair and transparent. Before filing an unlawful detainer lawsuit, landlords are typically required to serve a notice to quit or a notice to vacate. This notice informs the tenant of the landlord's intention to end the tenancy and provides a specific time frame for the tenant to move out. The type and length of notice can vary depending on the reason for eviction and local regulations. For example, non-payment of rent might require a 3-day notice, while other violations could require a longer period. Serving this notice is a critical first step in the eviction process. If the tenant does not comply with the notice to quit, the landlord can proceed to file an unlawful detainer lawsuit in court. This legal action formally requests the court to order the tenant to leave the property. The landlord must submit specific documents, including proof that the notice was properly served and details about the tenancy. Once the lawsuit is filed, the court will schedule a hearing to allow both parties to present their case. This step marks the official start of the legal eviction process. After being served with the lawsuit, the tenant has the right to respond. This response is usually filed with the court and may include defenses or counterclaims. Common defenses might involve improper notice, landlord retaliation, or claims that the landlord failed to maintain the property. The tenant's response is a crucial part of the process, as it allows them to present their side of the story and potentially avoid eviction if the court finds in their favor. The court hearing is where both the landlord and tenant present their evidence and arguments. The judge reviews the facts, listens to both sides, and makes a decision based on the law and the evidence provided. This hearing is typically scheduled quickly, often within a few weeks of the lawsuit being filed. Both parties should come prepared with all relevant documents, such as the lease agreement, notices, and any communication related to the dispute. The outcome of this hearing determines whether the tenant must vacate the property. After the hearing, the judge will issue a ruling. If the court finds in favor of the landlord, an order for possession will be granted, requiring the tenant to leave the property. If the tenant wins, they may be allowed to stay, or the case could be dismissed. In some cases, the court may grant the tenant additional time to move out or set conditions for remaining in the property. Understanding these possible outcomes helps both landlords and tenants know what to expect from the process. If the court orders the tenant to vacate and they still refuse to leave, the landlord can request law enforcement assistance. This usually involves a sheriff or other official serving a writ of possession, which authorizes the removal of the tenant from the property. It's important to note that landlords cannot take matters into their own hands, such as changing locks or removing belongings without proper legal authority. Enforcement ensures that the eviction is carried out lawfully and safely. Tenants have specific rights during the unlawful detainer process. These include the right to receive proper notice, the right to a court hearing, and the right to present defenses. Tenants also have protections against illegal evictions, such as lockouts or utility shutoffs. Understanding these rights is essential for tenants to ensure they are treated fairly and for landlords to avoid legal pitfalls. Both parties should be aware of local laws that may provide additional protections or requirements. Landlords have important responsibilities throughout the unlawful detainer process. They must follow all legal procedures, provide proper notice, and avoid any actions that could be considered harassment or illegal eviction. Landlords are also responsible for maintaining the property in a habitable condition and respecting the tenant's rights until the eviction is complete. Failing to meet these responsibilities can result in legal consequences and delays in the eviction process. Tenants facing an unlawful detainer action often raise several common defenses. These might include claims that the landlord did not provide proper notice, that the eviction is retaliatory, or that the landlord failed to maintain the property. Other defenses could involve discrimination or violations of local housing laws. Each defense must be supported by evidence, and the court will consider these arguments before making a decision. Knowing these defenses can help tenants protect their rights and landlords prepare for possible challenges. A retaliatory eviction occurs when a landlord tries to evict a tenant for exercising their legal rights, such as complaining about unsafe conditions or reporting code violations. Laws in many areas protect tenants from this type of eviction, and courts take these claims seriously. If a tenant can prove that the eviction is in retaliation for protected activities, the court may dismiss the case or even award damages to the tenant. Understanding retaliatory eviction helps ensure that both parties act within the law. One common defense in unlawful detainer cases is the claim that the landlord failed to maintain the property in a habitable condition. Tenants have the right to live in a safe and healthy environment, and landlords are required to make necessary repairs. If a landlord neglects these duties, tenants may have grounds to withhold rent or challenge the eviction. Courts will consider evidence such as repair requests, inspection reports, and photographs when evaluating these claims. Discrimination is strictly prohibited in housing. Landlords cannot evict tenants based on race, religion, gender, disability, or other protected characteristics. Fair housing laws at both the federal and state level provide strong protections for tenants. If a tenant believes they are being evicted for discriminatory reasons, they can raise this as a defense in an unlawful detainer case. Courts will look for evidence of discrimination and may impose penalties on landlords who violate these laws. Some landlords may attempt to evict tenants using illegal tactics, such as changing locks, shutting off utilities, or removing belongings without a court order. These actions are prohibited and can result in legal consequences for the landlord. Tenants who experience illegal eviction tactics can seek damages and may be allowed to return to the property. It's important for both landlords and tenants to understand that only the court can authorize an eviction and all procedures must be followed. The timeline for an unlawful detainer case can vary, but it generally moves faster than other types of lawsuits. After the notice to quit is served, the landlord can file the lawsuit if the tenant does not leave. The court hearing is usually scheduled within a few weeks, and a decision is made shortly after. If the court orders eviction, the tenant may have only a few days to move out before law enforcement steps in. Understanding this timeline helps both parties prepare for each stage of the process. Eviction can be costly for both landlords and tenants. Landlords may incur court fees, attorney costs, and lost rent during the process. Tenants may face moving expenses, lost deposits, and potential damage to their credit. Some jurisdictions allow the prevailing party to recover legal costs from the other side. Understanding the financial impact of an unlawful detainer action can help both parties weigh their options and consider alternatives to litigation. Before resorting to an unlawful detainer lawsuit, landlords and tenants may consider alternatives. These can include mediation, payment plans, or negotiating a move-out agreement. Mediation allows both parties to discuss their concerns with a neutral third party and often leads to mutually beneficial solutions. Exploring alternatives can save time, money, and stress for everyone involved and may preserve the landlord-tenant relationship. Attorneys play a significant role in unlawful detainer cases. They can help landlords and tenants understand their rights, navigate the legal process, and present their case effectively in court. While not always required, having legal representation can make a big difference, especially in complex cases or when significant amounts of money are at stake. Both parties should consider consulting an attorney to ensure their interests are protected. An unlawful detainer judgment can have lasting effects on a tenant's record. Evictions may appear on credit reports and rental history, making it harder to rent in the future. Some landlords and property managers routinely check these records before approving new tenants. Tenants should be aware of these consequences and try to resolve disputes before they escalate to court. Landlords, too, should consider the long-term impact on tenants when deciding how to proceed. If either party disagrees with the court's decision in an unlawful detainer case, they may have the right to appeal. The appeals process involves a higher court reviewing the lower court's decision for legal errors. Appeals must be filed within a specific time frame and usually require legal grounds such as procedural mistakes or misinterpretation of the law. While appeals can delay eviction, they are not always successful, and the original judgment often stands. In some cases, tenants may be able to have an eviction record expunged or removed from public view. Expungement is typically available if the case was dismissed, settled, or if the tenant can show good cause. The process varies by jurisdiction and may require a court petition. Expungement can help tenants move forward and secure housing in the future, so it's worth exploring if you qualify. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many jurisdictions enacted special rules and protections for tenants facing eviction. These included eviction moratoriums, extended notice periods, and rental assistance programs. While some of these protections have expired, Others remain in place or may be reinstated during emergencies. Both landlords and tenants should stay informed about current laws and resources in their area. Unlawful detainer actions can involve both residential and commercial properties. While the basic process is similar, there are important differences in the rules and timelines. Commercial tenants may have fewer protections and shorter notice periods, while residential tenants often benefit from additional safeguard. Understanding the distinction is important for landlords and tenants in both settings. Property managers often handle the day-to-day aspects of rental properties, including initiating unlawful detainer actions. They are responsible for serving notices, communicating with tenants, and coordinating with attorneys. Property managers must be familiar with local laws and ensure that all procedures are followed correctly. Their expertise can help landlords avoid costly mistakes and ensure a smooth eviction process. Self-help eviction refers to landlords taking matters into their own hands to remove tenants, such as changing locks or removing belongings without a court order. This is illegal in most jurisdictions and can result in significant penalties for landlords, including fines and liability for damages. Tenants who are victims of self-help eviction may have the right to sue for damages and regain possession of the property. Always follow the legal process to avoid these risks. The lease agreement is the foundation of the landlord-tenant relationship. It outlines the rights and responsibilities of both parties, including rent, maintenance, and termination terms. A clear and comprehensive lease can help prevent disputes and provide guidance if an unlawful detainer action becomes necessary. Both landlords and tenants should review their lease carefully and seek clarification on any unclear terms. Proper documentation is essential in an unlawful detainer case. Landlords should keep records of lease agreements, payment history, notices served, and all communications with tenants. Tenants should also maintain copies of important documents and evidence of any issues with the property. Good documentation can make or break a case in court and helps ensure a fair outcome. Serving legal notices correctly is a critical step in the unlawful detainer process. Notices must be delivered in accordance with local laws, which may require personal delivery, posting on the property, or mailing. Improper service can delay the case or result in dismissal. Both landlords and tenants should understand the requirements for serving and receiving legal notices to ensure the process moves forward smoothly. The sheriff or other law enforcement official plays a key role in enforcing eviction order. After the court issues a writ of possession, the sheriff is responsible for physically removing the tenant if they do not leave voluntarily. The sheriff's involvement ensures that the eviction is carried out legally and safely, protecting the rights of both parties. Landlords should never attempt to remove tenants themselves without law enforcement assistance. Once an eviction order is issued, tenants are usually given a short period to move out voluntarily. If they do not leave by the deadline, law enforcement may step in. Tenants should take care to remove all personal belongings and leave the property in good condition to avoid additional charges. Landlords should inspect the property after move-out and document its condition for their records. If tenants leave belongings behind after an eviction, landlords must follow specific procedures for handling abandoned property. This often involves providing notice to the former tenant and storing the items for a certain period. If the tenant does not claim the property, the landlord may be allowed to dispose of or sell it. Failing to follow these rules can result in liability for the landlord. After an eviction, landlords must handle security deposits according to the law. This usually means returning the deposit minus any deductions for unpaid rent or damages. Landlords must provide an itemized statement of deductions and return any remaining funds within a specific time frame. Tenants should review the statement carefully and dispute any improper charges. The best way to avoid unlawful detainer actions is through clear communication and proactive management. Landlords should address issues promptly, maintain the property, and keep tenants informed of any changes. Tenants should pay rent on time, report problems early, and follow the terms of the lease. Building a positive landlord-tenant relationship can prevent misunderstandings and reduce the likelihood of disputes. Tenants facing eviction have access to a variety of resources, including legal aid organizations, tenant unions, and government agencies. These groups can provide advice, representation, and support throughout the unlawful detainer process. Tenants should seek help early to understand their rights and options. Many resources are available for free or at low cost, making them accessible to those in need. Landlords can also access resources to help navigate the unlawful detainer process. These include property management associations, legal services, and local housing authorities. Staying informed about current laws and best practices can help landlords avoid mistakes and protect their investments. Many organizations offer training, forms, and guidance specifically for landlords. Unlawful detainer laws vary widely by location. Local ordinances may provide additional protections or impose extra requirements on landlords and tenants. It's important to research the specific laws in your area and consult with local experts if needed. Staying informed about changes in the law can help both parties avoid costly mistakes and ensure compliance with all legal obligations. Tenants facing eviction may qualify for public assistance programs, such as emergency rental assistance or housing vouchers. These programs can help tenants pay overdue rent and avoid eviction. Landlords may also benefit from participating in these programs, as they can recover lost rent and avoid lengthy court proceedings. Both parties should explore available assistance before proceeding with an unlawful detainer action. If a tenant files for bankruptcy, it can temporarily halt the unlawful detainer process. Bankruptcy laws provide an automatic stay, which stops most collection actions, including eviction. However, there are exceptions, and landlords may be able to proceed under certain circumstances. Both parties should consult with legal professionals to understand how bankruptcy affects eviction proceedings. Eviction can have serious consequences for tenants with uncertain immigration status. While landlords are generally not allowed to ask about or report immigration status, an eviction record can still affect a tenant's ability to secure housing or legal status in the future. Tenants in this situation should seek legal advice to understand their rights and options. Sometimes, tenants allow others to live in the property without the landlord's permission. These individuals, known as subtenants, may also be subject to eviction through an unlawful detainer action. The process for removing subtenants can be complex, especially if they were not named in the original lease. Landlords should consult with legal professionals to ensure all parties are properly included in the eviction action. Evicting roommates can present unique challenges. If all tenants are on the lease, the landlord may need to evict everyone, even if only one person is causing problems. In some cases, tenants may need to resolve disputes among themselves or seek mediation. Understanding the lease terms and local laws is key to handling roommate situations effectively. To sum up, an unlawful detainer is a legal process used to remove tenants who remain in a property without the right to do so. The process involves serving notice, filing a lawsuit, attending a court hearing, and, if necessary, enforcing the judgment with law enforcement. Both landlords and tenants have rights and responsibilities throughout, and understanding the process can help prevent costly mistakes. Always follow the law and seek professional advice when needed. Understanding unlawful detainer actions is essential for anyone involved in renting or managing property. By knowing your rights and responsibilities, you can navigate disputes more effectively and avoid unnecessary conflict. Whether you're a landlord or a tenant, staying informed and seeking help when needed can make all the difference. Thanks for watching, and remember, knowledge is your best tool in any legal situation.